to a main or major national mega project, which is the agriculture expansion, and which is also supposed to be a major file at the top of the agenda of the political leadership now, talking in particular about the agricultural and sustainable development, talking about the Future of Egypt Authority, and as they are driving the largest scale agriculture and land reclamation projects aimed at increasing cultivated land and improving the water management projects, building integrated agro-industrial systems across Egypt, and how we're supposed to secure the food sufficiency and to start to revolutionize the industrial and the agricultural industrialization. We're talking about this in detail about this with our prominent guest here in the studio, the Ambassador Dr. Mohamed Hamza Houseni, General Counsel of the UN. Your Excellency, great pleasure having you with us. Very good morning.
Pleasure having you today. Thank you so much.
Well, great national mega project and aiming at the agricultural expansion, securing the food sufficiency, exporting, trying to finalize the gap and deficits, also to revolutionize the agricultural production or the industrialization. Allow us to talk about this in detail, but after watching this report, let's watch.
The Future of Egypt Authority is a key player in Egypt's drive to expand agricultural production and secure food supplies. It manages major land reclamation projects, including the New Delta project and developments in Sinai and Upper Egypt, converting desert areas into productive farmland using modern techniques. The authority focuses on sustainable water management, deploying drip and pivot irrigation systems, solar-powered operations, and controlled environment greenhouses to cut water and energy use. These projects are designed to link directly to processing plants, storage facilities, and logistics hubs, creating full value chains from farm to market. Beyond production, the authority's work supports development by creating jobs, building infrastructure, and encouraging private sector participation. The projects align with Egypt's Vision 2030 and national climate adaptation plans, aiming to reduce reliance on imports, boost exports, and build resilience against water scarcity and climate impacts. By combining large-scale investment with sustainable practices, the Future of Egypt Authority is positioning agriculture as a core pillar of Egypt's long-term economic and environmental strategy.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We still had on Nile TV International to this edition of the Breakfast Show, and now we're talking in particular once again about the agricultural sustainable development in Egypt, and concerning the last project of the Future of Egypt Authority in the New Delta, expanding of the agricultural landscape and also securing the food sufficiency. Delighted once again to welcome our dear guest here in the studio, His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Houseni, General Counsel of the UN. Once again, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Well, securing the food sufficiency nowadays in such geopolitical turbulences and conflicts, the whole world, of course, in particular after the COVID-19, it's supposed to be something essential. Yeah. So how you find this within the vision of 2030 for the sustainable development of Egypt?
Let's put it that President Fattah Sisi, when he took the leadership in 2014, one of his major importance field was the agriculture. And then when we have did the economic reform for the Egypt economy starting in 2014, there was the national food, the national security of the food to the Egyptian people. So we had at that time a lack of exports for our agriculture goods, and we find that if any country wanted to have a strong economy, one of the most important fields is the agriculture. And Egypt, historical wise, is one of the countries have been known as the center of the agriculture products in the Middle East. But when we talk about the previous regime, that there was a huge problem to us that we import 86.4% for our goods as an agriculture, industrial, commercial from abroad. We didn't look to focus basically as an administration in how we will develop this, how we will not just count on 9% of the 1 million kilometer that we have it as the size of Egypt. You can imagine that from 5,000 years ago up to 2014, Egypt have just 9% of its size where the Egyptian people is living and where the agriculture, the industrial, all the economical phases is in this particular space. So in 2014, when the economic reform happened in Egypt, that there was one of these parts that having a council, this council or authority will handle the development of the agriculture zones in Egypt. So Egypt the Future have been announced in 2017. So this council or this authority to see where is the lands that we can develop and we can maintain it to have a production from it. So they make look like a map of Egypt, and then they start to find the lands that nobody looked to it, and then they to see how we can reform these lands. So the first thing in the agriculture, it's where the water is. Where is the water, and is this land can be planted or no? So as President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in the announcement of this mega project, because the new delta, we are not talking about a small project. We are talking about exactly 35% a new added
to the agricultural lands.
To the agricultural lands in Egypt. You can imagine in 5,000 years
1.5 million فدان or
1.5 million فدان to reach 2 million فدان within the next 4 years.
Huge.
How many fedans that we had in Egypt in the last 5,000 years?
I think 4.
No, we have.
We became like 4.
Let's say no.
There were 9.
9.
9.
Now you are adding
yep.
2. This means that you are already taking 25% of this.
Yep.
So imagine that in one project you do that. It's meaning that this administration, when they say something, they do it.
Yep.
And this.
No, and they showing case after they proceed,
That's
not
it.
in the very
Not
beginning
before.
and just laying the cornerstone of the project. No, we are in the process.
I'll tell you one thing. I
Yeah.
come here 10 years ago when I started to be a guest in this respected and lovely channel to me, Nile TV International. It's my home here since 10 years ago. Okay. We come here in Egypt, the Future Forum, which had been done in Sharm el-Sheikh in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And that time, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said what? Said this forum will be start of the new Republican. And when we say something, we will do it in a short period of time. And after that, when we come to announce a project, the project is already there. The people at that time, they didn't believe.
They didn't imagine.
And they didn't imagine that.
Yeah.
Because the previous administrations in Egypt, there was look like a lot of says, but when it's come to the land, there is nothing is happening. But now they announced the project when the project is already on the spot. It's already, there is a production coming from this project. So this project cost, it was 800 billion baht. And what they have did, they challenge the gravity. They challenge the natural the natural tears of Egypt, because in the last 5,000 years that the Nile, when it's come to the south, then it will bring its water to the north in the Mediterranean Sea. So what they have did is they make 13 water refinery stations to change the direction of the water, not to come to the Mediterranean Sea, but it will return back to a Dab'a stage, and this is where it will become the new delta. Doing this kind of project, it's impossible to do. That's why President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in the presentation when Colonel Baha Ghanam, when he was speaking about the project, he stopped him and he told him, talk to the Egyptian and to the world how we change the direction of the Nile to plant our own land. And this nobody
and therefore
think.
suppose one of the major obstacles and challenge
Of
of the
course,
project
of
is
course.
the water and lack of water that
Of
we are
course,
now
because
facing.
in that area there is no water, and how you will bring the water from there to here by making 13 stations, and this 13 station it take from you look like 3 years to do it, and it can work or no, because you are against the gravity, because the water is like that, and then you are bringing it again to the opposite direction, and then you will start to make channels of irrigation, and after that you will scale which products that you need in Egypt to stop reliance in the imports goods. This is not just a project that we did. This is really a mega project to add 2 million faddan to the agriculture lands in Egypt in 3 years, and coming to 2030, cutting from the imports quantities of the agriculture goods, that we having a problem in the agriculture goods, that the corn, some of the seeds and so on. There is look like 25 list of products that we are importing from Russia, from Ukraine, from the United States, from other countries. Now by 2030 you will reduce 40% of this imports product list to be planted in your country.
40% reducing, and more than, I mean, many billions reducing and getting away of our domestic budget. I mean, also securing millions of jobs, direct and indirect jobs.
8 million
jobs.
Imagine that this project will secure and generate 8 million direct and indirect jobs to the Egyptian families. Because we are opening now to the...
But 10,000 direct jobs.
Direct jobs, 10,000. But in the 4 years, we are reaching 8 million.
Wow.
And not just that, you are talking
and they
about...
are sustainable, I mean
permanent.
Not within
not
the
just
project
for this project as a season and then it will... No, it's a permanent. And the second thing is, which is the important, is you are not just planting a land, you are not developing a land, you are making an agriculture complex, a food complex to Egypt.
Exactly.
And this is when we talk here to the investors abroad, in Asia, in Europe, in the United States, and when we talk to them about that our land, that we can do, make the impossible possible, as what we did in this mega project. So you guys come on, you have technology, we need it now in Egypt, and let's make a joint venture corporation between the foreign investors in the agriculture in those regions and in our country. Because after the Hormuz Strait and what's happening between Iran and the United States in this war, the whole geographical economical map of the planet will be changed.
Exactly.
Because nobody can rely again in the Strait of Hormuz that it will be where the goods and the food supplies all over the world is coming. From the GCC, the energy, from Asia, the factories, and then distributing to the whole world from this strait. No, it will not come.
In this particular, we're working also in a project, also another mega national project to diagram 7 major water corridors instead of the Hormuz, the Strait of Hormuz.
And this is now because, you know, when this war have been started, and we know this war have been started because the cancer of the Middle East, Benjamin Netanyahu, when he come and he order that we need instability to the Arab countries, and how you can affect the GCC countries. It's a peaceful countries. These countries have been done an amazing module of economic development. So how they will do this? By putting the Iran in the situation. And Iran, as an ideologian countries, when it's come as a political changes between Iran and the Arabs, they are our enemies. They are not an ally. They were just waiting the opportunity for them to attack us. And then when the opportunity come, they already show us.
But disregarding this, there were like so great exerted efforts from the Egyptian side from the very beginning until now to prevent the dragging us all and the whole region to the war. And what the President El-Sisi himself, he warned from and he warned against.
And this is an valuable adding from your side, that when we see that Egypt position and a lot of people and a lot of countries have tried to demolish this role. A lot of places, and I will not call them as an enemies, no, any successful country will have people will invade it and will attack it by other means. But Egypt's role, and I will talk here at diplomacy,
Yeah.
since 100 years ago, Egypt didn't ever interfere any other country situation or a political, economical, severe, any way of interfere. Egypt is not doing that.
Exactly.
Egypt didn't attack any country in its history.
Yeah.
Egypt always playing one role, is what it is, the peaceful diplomacy.
Stabilizing the
Stabilizing
whole region.
the region. And when it's come that this, starting from the war from Israel to Gaza, who in the war? Egypt.
Yes.
Why President Trump and the European leaders trusted that this country, of course in a cooperation with Qatar and Saudi Arabia and Turkey, how they trust Egypt? Because they know the history of you. They know the history of the diplomacy of Egypt as a peacemaker. And we stopped the war in Gaza, right? But when it's come to Iran, the situation is totally different. Why? Dealing with the Iranian regime, you are dealing with a regime have been planted in our region in 1979 after the Islamic Revolution. There is no look like a catalog of this regime. You don't know who is controlling who. Before, when Ali Khamenei is still alive, and that was the biggest and the most risky decision that Benjamin Netanyahu and Trump have been taking, killing Ali Khamenei, because Ali Khamenei, he was taking this administration and holding it with his hand. He was the one is making the decision. But now you are talking to three parts. Iran is divided from inside, because when you talk with the Iranian guards, when you talk about the government, and when you talk about the other revolutions, people that they are causing it now, and the Mujtaba Khamenei, you don't know to whom you are talking, and all of them is under the ground,
Yeah.
and there is no direct communication. Even China and Russia, they cannot convince them to stop what they are doing, because what you did is, when you deal with an ideology, person have an ideology, you cannot deal with him as look like, I will kill you, you stop this, or I will kill you. No, his ideology is to kill himself against his beliefs.
Yeah.
You cannot do that.
Yeah.
What you need to do is, what you need to understand, that you kill the highest person in the administration, and they have a revenge plan.
Yeah.
So to make the war stop, you need to go with those countries like Egypt, like Saudi Arabia, like Turkey now,
yeah.
trying to boil the fire down.
And this is what we are doing now, and we still, and this is in the framework of our foreign policies, constraints and stances. We'll be talking about this in detail, but please allow us to go to this report concerning the back and forth dynamics and the between the between Washington and Tehran, and of course concerning the latest statements of the American president yesterday concerning that was 1 hour away from striking Iran and destroying Iran. Let's watch.
The fragile ceasefire in the Iran-US-Israel conflict is under renewed strain. On May 18th, President Donald Trump announced on Truth social media that he has called off a planned military attack on Iran scheduled for Tuesday, May 19th, after personal requests from the leaders of Qatar, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. Trump said the Gulf leaders told him serious negotiations are now taking place and that they believe a deal without Iranian nuclear weapons is close. He warned that the U.S. military remains ready for a full large-scale assault if talks fail. The post comes as attacks on Gulf infrastructure continue. On Sunday, a drone strike hit an electrical generator near the United Arab Emirates Baraka nuclear power plant in Abu Dhabi. The United Arab Emirates Ministry of Defense said 2 drones were intercepted, while a third caused a fire outside the plant's inner perimeter. The IAEA confirmed on Monday that off-site power to Unit 3 was restored and radiation levels remain normal. Military analysts say Iran's most effective leverage remains the Strait of Hormuz. The waterway carries about 20% of global oil. Experts note that Iran can threaten shipping through mines, drones, fast attack boats, and anti-ship missiles, giving it structural leverage even without nuclear weapons. Traffic through the strait has dropped sharply since fighting intensified in late February. The conflict began with US and Israeli strikes on Iran in late February, followed by Iranian counter-strikes on Gulf states. A ceasefire was agreed April 8th, but attacks resumed this month. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said the Baraka incident is another reason for all sides to halt the fighting completely.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Nile TV International, our today's edition of the Breakfast Show. And now, after we listen to the report concerning the latest developments on the ground concerning the U.S.-Iran conflict, and of course striking the power plant of Baraka in Emirates, which is a new scale or a new phase of the war, new message sent by Iran to the Gulf and to the American side. We'll discuss this and continue to discuss this with our prominent guest here in the studio, Dr. Mohamed Hamza Al-Houseni, Egypt's Counsel to the United Nations. Once again, Your Excellency, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much.
And striking the power plant of Baraka in Emirates, it's actually a message, and a strong message from the Iranian side to the whole world. Now my threats became to be reality, and now we are just striking and doing whatever everywhere. Nothing will stop us. So, strong message. How you found it?
I find it as how the representative of UAE in the Security Council, when he talked yesterday about that this strikes, the source of the strikes, it didn't come from Iran. It comes from Iraq. And this is where the message is. Because Iran wanted to say is, yeah, you guys have controlled Hezbollah in Lebanon by some ways. You have eliminated, let's say, 50% of the power of Hamas in Palestine. Now you are trying to control in Yemen. And now in Iraq also you are trying to support the government to cut al-Hajj Shabi. But my arms and my hands is in everywhere. That's why the strike come from Iraq. And attacking this nuclear civilian project, this is look like a disaster. Because you cannot do that. There is look like there is international law, there is the Security Council, there is the United Nations, there is all the organization who is supporting the development for the energy, for the civilians, and you cannot just attack them. If you wanted to if you wanted to deliver a message, deliver it to where the military attacks, as what you say in the beginning of this war, that you are attacking the GCC because there is an American bases over there, which was a lie, because before the start of the war, the American troops left those bases, and there was no attack to you from those bases, because we can say this basis, it's a domestic basis, and not doing any military action. It's for training. You got it? But here, when the strike started from Iraq to the United Arab Emirates, there was the message. It's look like it's a dangerous message that attacking the UAE and attacking a nuclear civilian project like that, Iran is saying, as how you are announcing, as Donald Trump is announcing that you will come to attack us again, and you will make a full military action against Iran and the whole lands of Iran, we can still demolish any development in the GCC countries. And here, the problem to Trump, when he started this war, he didn't think that this ideology regime, he thought it's looked like Venezuela.
Yeah,
he go there with the Delta forces.
In weeks we will finalize
in 1 week. That's what he was saying.
Yeah.
But what he didn't think is Iran, they have look like 7 plans in how they will make United States shake. And now the image of the U.S. as the most powerful country in the planet Earth have been shaked because of the Iranian.
Concerning that image and concerning the back and forth dynamics between the two sides, every front is actually consisting on the conditions of his own and just showing case of what we call it a powerful or show of power from both sides. Did we reach, or are we approaching the bottleneck, as of course the latest statements of Trump yesterday, as he was 1 hour away from attacking Iran and destroying Iran, and Iran or Tehran is warning against surprises. Is it a bottleneck?
Not yet. We didn't reach that yet. We need more 2 weeks to say that we reached the bottleneck. But talking about the posts that Donald Trump is putting in Threads or X in the social media, this is a business situation. Why? Starting from this war, there is American companies have gained over than $120 billion in the stock market. And there is websites for the bidding have been bought that America will attack tomorrow, and then the bidding will come, and there is some mysterious person who will win $1 billion in 1 hour, and tomorrow America will gonna to kill Ali Khamenei, and that will happen. So whatever posts that Trump is doing, it's for changing the situation, and I will not say manipulation.
It's actually happened in the exchange market and stock market and everywhere. Of course,
the stock market based of his posts, and he knows that because he is a businessman.
Exactly.
So you cannot rely as a people or as a country or an administration about whatever Trump is saying. If you wanted to know where this war is going, don't go with the situation that he is saying in the social media. No, go is what's happening in the ground with Iran and the GCC countries, because the GCC countries, as what I say, this war will finish and end by the GCC countries and by Egypt, because as what you said, attacking this kind of places now in UAE and the GCC region, it was not an easy thing, and we didn't see it in the last 4 years. But now what's happening is Donald Trump is trying to manipulate all of us, even his allies. Now the GCC countries and the administrations there, they don't look to the American regime as how they was looking to the American relation before. Yep. And his visit to China, this is where the message is. Not anything, any person. He's in the political field and the international relation field. He will understand that Donald Trump will not go in any other military action towards Iran again.
Yep, allow us to watch this report concerning the tensions in the whole region, and also the situation on the ground in Lebanon and the ongoing escalation from the Israeli troops. And actually, as Israeli artillery shelling has resumed in southern Lebanon's district, more than, and according to Lebanon's state-run national news agency, more details in the following report. Let's watch.
Israeli shelling has resumed in southern Lebanon's Marjaoun district, according to Lebanon's state-run national news agency. The renewed strikes hit areas near the Blue Line, raising concerns about a widening of hostilities along Israel's northern border. Marjaoun has seen periodic exchanges since the Israel-Gaza war escalated in late 2023, largely tied to Hezbollah activity in the area. Israel says its strikes target infrastructure and positions it claims are used to launch attacks into Israel. Lebanon views the shelling as a violation of its sovereignty and a breach of UN Security Council Resolution 1701, which ended the 2006 war. The timing matters, with fighting ongoing in Gaza and rising tensions in the West Bank. The Lebanon front risks becoming a second active threat UNIFIL, the UN peacekeeping force in southern Lebanon, has repeatedly called for restraint, but its ability to enforce the ceasefire remains limited. For civilians in Marjaoun, the resumption means renewed displacement and disruption to agriculture and daily life. Diplomatically, Beirut is pushing for international pressure to halt the strikes, but its leverage is constrained by Lebanon's political and economic crisis. The key question now is whether this remains localized shelling or becomes part of a broader regional escalation.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're still ahead on Nile TV International, our today's edition of The Breakfast Show. And now to shed more light on this, we're most delighted to be joined over the phone by our prominent guest, Dr. Hassan Wagih, Professor of Political Science. Dr. Wagih, great pleasure having you with us. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Well, great developments occurring on the ground concerning the war in Lebanon, or in the southern Lebanon in particular. And still the Israeli troops are going ahead and continuing the displacements of the Lebanon, and actually holding greater landscape of the southern Lebanon to secure the area around the Litani River, not only the southern of the river or the northern area of the river, but they got the buffer zone over there. So how you estimate the situation right away, your assessment for it right away?
Oh, the situation tells everyone that there is a very big gap between Lebanon and Israel in that ongoing so-called negotiation, because, you know, the Israelis insist on firing, insist on delivering strikes, and the negotiation under strikes is rejected by the Lebanese, and it doesn't make sense because Hezbollah, or the resistance, you call it whatever, is retaliating, and you will never be able to elaborate on any ceasefire. Negotiation requires very important preliminary request for any negotiation in the world is not to be under fire like that.
Yeah. Our Foreign Minister, Dr. Badr Abdelati, had mentioned that Israel is now using the war of Iran, and of course it's very clear to everybody that they are using the war of Iran to convert all the attention for what's going on, or what they are doing on the ground in Lebanon and in Gaza. So how you find this, and concerning what they gained already from the southern Lebanon landscape over there, and what they are controlling over there?
Actually, no one rational negotiator would understand that there is no connection. There is a very big connection between what is happening between Iran and America, and what is happening in Gaza and in Lebanon. And of course, there is something called, in addition to that, Netanyahu's war games. Netanyahu wants to live on wars all the time. He threatened 5 other countries to occupy, so he cannot do without now any war. So there is some calm on the Iranian, hopefully, some calm on the Iranian-American front, but he is using the chance to keep the war going on in other places. This is what is happening in Lebanon, where he is making similar attacks like in Gaza, demolition, displacement, and firing, and killing. More than 3,000 were killed in Lebanon so far, and tens of thousands were displaced. That the situation in Gaza is the same situation in Iran. Keeping the war going on is a Netanyahu's game war, and everybody is condemning that in the world now.
Yeah. Well, concerning the negotiations between the Lebanon, the government of Lebanon, and the President Aoun, and the Israeli side, in which they are rejecting to conduct negotiations now with the Israelis for what they are going and what is going on the ground. I mean, from the continuation aggression. How can you assess the situation of the Lebanese president?
Okay, the Lebanese president really picked up a very important statement made by President Trump. President Trump wrote on his account, "Enough is enough," and he ordered Israel to go for a ceasefire. He ordered that. So the Lebanese president considered Trump as a friend, and Lebanon now is relying heavily on the U.S. Administration to provide it with leverage in the negotiation and to continue this. Enough is enough. Enough is enough for ceasefire.
But there is no enough is enough for Israel. I mean, no Security Council, no UN and institutions, no enough for Israel. Nobody can control Israel. I mean,
yes. So I think that answering your question regarding President Aoun, President Aoun talked to Trump, and he told him he needs his continuation to implement a ceasefire and to come with a security agreement, not normalization. And you know, the telephone call that took place between the two presidents, President Trump was understanding the position of Aoun, and he said, I can understand your situation, and he was sympathizing with him. But again, what is required is much more pressure on Israel to stop this firing and this killing of innocent civilians, because many civilians are victims now.
Yeah, deteriorating humanitarian situation in Lebanon and Gaza as well. Dr. Hassan Wagih, Professor of Political Science, many thanks for your insights and for being with us. And now, moving on also to the deteriorating situation on the Gaza Strip, and of course killings, destruction and settler encroachments continue on the occupied Palestinian territories as the UN urges Israel to prevent genocide in Gaza and loots its unlawful presence in the West Bank. Let's watch.
Killings, destruction and settler encroachment are continuing across the occupied Palestinian territories according to the latest UN assessments. In Gaza, the UN Human Rights Chief has called on Israel to prevent genocide, citing high civilian casualties, restricted aid access and widespread infrastructure damage. The warning reflects growing international concern over the conduct of military operations and the humanitarian blockade. In the occupied West Bank, the UN is also urging Israel to end what it calls an unlawful presence. The focus is on settlement expansion, demolitions and settler violence, which the UN says undermines the viability of a future Palestinian state and violates international law. These two tracks are connected. While Gaza bears the brunt of active combat, the West Bank is experiencing a steady erosion of Palestinian control through settlement activity and military operations. Both situations are now being addressed in multiple international legal forums, including the International Court of Justice. For Palestinians, the immediate issue is survival and access to basic services. For the international community, the challenge is turning legal findings and statements into concrete measures that change conditions on the ground.
Well, by this, ladies and gentlemen, we wrap up and we reach to the end of our today's breakfast show. And we've got, first of all, to thank our dear guest, Your Excellency, Dr. Mohamed Hamza Al-Houseni, General Counsel of the UN. Many thanks for being with us and for
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a nice day. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching, and for myself, Hanan Al-Khouli.